Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Jason Mackey's First 10, short version podcast talking all things Pittsburgh sports. Today is Tuesday, September 10th, and it was a busy day around Pittsburgh. Pretty much every one of our teams had some item of news attached to it. The big news, obviously, Heather Lyke is out as the AD at Pitt. Pirates won a game. David Bednar was named the Roberto Clemente Award nominee for the team. Believe that was the third straight year for him. Sidney Crosby talked about his contract, said he was, quote, optimistic something will get done. Steelers found out their punter was out for the year, also brought back Terrell Edmunds. But again, the lead topic has to be Heather Lyke, right? I don't think anybody saw this coming, myself included. And out of nowhere, our Chris Carter broke the story that Heather Lyke is out. Chancellor Joan Gabel said in a statement, as we enter a new era of college athletics, one that seems to change by the day, we need a new vision and new leader of our athletics department. You've probably read that statement. And to me, that kind of frames what we're talking about here. Because how else does this come to such an abrupt end? Lyke was a candidate at Ohio State, Michigan State, Northwestern. Very recently, Northwestern, her name was mentioned at USC as well. I mean, this is not somebody who is thought poorly of nationally. Now, locally, you hear rumblings, and I believe Paul Zeiss wrote this in his column as well, that the relationship between Gabel and Lyke was not great. We could probably all speculate as to why, but I think that statement kind of tells you, without telling you, a lot of things that Pitt is looking for, maybe not happy with, that sort of thing with Heather Lyke's leadership. If you look at on-field success, I think you could make a case that Heather Lyke did a very, very good job here. Teams won. The coaches were extended who were here, and coaches were hired who have been effective. Not blanket statement, right? Not every coach she hired has been good, but I mean, did she leave Pitt athletics in a better place than she found it? I would say that she did. But has she best navigated what college athletics is now, which can sometimes be a little nuts, can be a lot nuts. And that's my takeaways from this are that, and also that, like, they have to know what they're doing, or they better know what they're doing, would be a better way of putting that, because this timing is horrible. Number one, I mean, you've got the Pitt Hall of Fame induction on Friday. You're sending Darrelle, Revis, DeJuan, Blair, Bill Hillgrove, Dick Groat, and others into the Hall of Fame. It's the week of the Backyard Brawl. Pitt volleyball was just ranked number one in the country. Like, there's a lot of things surrounding Pitt athletics right now that would not point to a great time for Pitt to do this. Now, if you have your mind made up, if you want to be done with the relationship, I guess I get it. Now, and I wonder how much of the last straw the Northwestern thing was, her being a candidate for that, and Pitt ultimately deciding, we're not going to get something done here. This isn't going to work. We want somebody who's going to do the job maybe a little bit differently. An alarming thing in Chris Carter's story, you probably read this, but Lyke was obviously very much attached to their Victory Heights, their 240,000 square foot facility, basically for Olympic sports. And it's got a pretty hefty price tag, $240 million. I believe Lyke was on record saying that they've raised around $12 million for that. Well, that's a very incomplete build. And that's some problems there as far as fundraising, paying for things, stuff that will ultimately fall on the university. And to me, that's a pretty big gulf between maybe where Heather wants to be, maybe where the university wants to be. But I think that's a lot of speculating from the outside. What I do know, again, is that this timing is horrible, and that, they're making a pretty big statement by saying what we have here is not good enough. We're going to change, reverse course, find somebody who does the job differently and that can navigate the current state of college athletics. So there's some interesting candidates out there. We have a piece on our website. Do check it out. Pat Bostick is listed as one, Doug Whaley, Lewis Riddick, a few others. So I don't want to give anybody short shrift. I'm sure I will. Make sure you check that out. But yeah, just wild to me. And honestly, I think this might be the biggest hire in the history of Pitt athletics, or you could make that case, certainly, with what this person's going to have to navigate. NIL money, sort of rectifying relationships with the 412 Alliance, being able to fundraise better. You're going to be paying athletes due to the ongoing legal settlement. It's estimated $20 to $30 million, that sort of thing. And, obviously keeping teams competitive, keeping coaches here. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I mean, I hope they find the right candidate. I'm sure they will exhaust all options. But again, it just says to me that You must really be dissatisfied and think you have a better idea to do this right now. All right, going to move on to a couple other topics. We have a lot of stuff to cover today. Next up in our weekly or daily segment here, Sidney Crosby and his contract. How about that stuff, huh? So he talked at the NHL media tour. Was out in Vegas, did it with some national writers, and the Penguins sent us the audio. Crosby's quote on his contract, I'm pretty optimistic it's going to get done. I don't know what day, but it's been really positive. Hasn't been a difficult process at all. I might argue against that. Well, I shouldn't say I might argue it again. That's not the perception. I'll be really curious when this gets done, and I do expect it to get done before training camp. A lot of people that I've talked to said, I'm not going to worry until training camp. If he starts training camp without a new contract, we've got a problem. So I don't think we have a problem. I think he's going to start training camp with the contract. He said, I didn't know exactly what day, like I said before. But yeah, I'm just curious what took so long. What took so long? If he wants to be here, if the Penguins want him here, but we'll find out soon enough. Crosby also talked about some of his longevity, how he feels, sort of a passion. But I've heard this stuff a decent amount from Sid, and I mean, it was good. This was one of the better Sid interviews that I've heard, but he said he's just as excited to get to training camp as he was his first year. The passion, that sort of thing is all there. I feel like Sid can be 60. He's probably going to say that. I don't know if his body will cooperate, but he'll want to be out there. He's just one of the most passionate, driven players in any sport that I've ever seen. He said, as long as that's there and you're willing to put in the work, everything it does is be successful. Hopefully it can be at least for a few more years. So part of that interview, Sid talked about wanting to play a few more years. I think he will play a few more years. I think the sticking point, the bigger topic is something I wrote about, something we've been writing about. How do you put a better team around Sidney Crosby? How do the Penguins improve? And that's a different discussion. All right, have a couple more things I want to get to on the back end of our mid-episode break from the Bradenton Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. Check that out now.
Embrace the laid-back charm of island life while sinking your toes in the sand and discovering real, authentic Florida in the Bradenton area. Unspoiled beauty and pristine beaches, a vibrant waterfront downtown energized by local arts and culture, fresh Floridian cuisine with a flourish of rich history, and friendly locals ready to welcome you to this preserved paradise on Florida's Gulf Coast. Plan your visit today at BradentonGulfIslands.com.
And welcome back to First 10. I'm your host, Jason Mackey. Want to get to some Steelers and Pirates stuff before we're done for the day. Too bad for Cam Johnston. I think we figured that. The punter out for the year. We saw the injury in Atlanta. And, man, he's been so good. So good and so fun to watch. He's out for the year. The Steelers are going to bring back Corliss Waitman, not Waltman. He actually signed with the Steelers in 2020, was an undrafted free agent, filled in for them for 2 games in the 21 season when Presley Harvin III's father died. Spent all of 2022 with Denver, kind of bounced around to a couple different teams this year in the preseason. But he can kick. We know that in 2022, he ranked 13th in the NFL in net punting average, 41.4 yards per punt, and 20th in yards per punt, 46.6. Those are some numbers to say that he's a perfectly serviceable kicker. I thought it was interesting that they didn't go with Presley Harvin III. For one reason, just he was here. They know him. He's held for Chris Boswell before, but nope, didn't want to go that route. We'll see what happens. I know that whoever they bring in probably isn't going to be as good as Cam Johnston has been throughout the preseason. And even early on, it's just, man, such a shame. I thought the Steelers were going to finally have their punter problem solved, and well, I was wrong. They're also bringing back Terrell Edmunds, first round pick in 2018, safety. I'm not sure where he fits, to be honest with you, but I guess depth. Played a little bit for Jacksonville in week 1. Somebody they know again and can theoretically contribute if they get into some injury trouble. Pirates last night, they won. 3-2. Paul Skenes pitched 6 innings, 6 hits, 1 run. It was earned, a walk, 9 strikeouts. He's now 10-2 on the year. I was watching that game last night. I came to the conclusion that Paul Skenes is good. I don't know what you all. No, I'm just kidding. Of course, we know Paul Skenes is good. It's awesome to watch him pitch. Always fun. Pirates have won 5 in a row against Miami. O'Neal Cruz, by the way, welcome back, a 444-foot homer on a 1-2 4-seamer up. Pretty impressive pitch there. Good to see Cruz producing. Got into a conversation with somebody, the Bowers family, by the way, in the Atlanta airport. We were talking about O'Neal Cruz, and I kind of didn't realize this. It was in my head until I said it out loud, but his defense all things considered, fine with it. They asked me what I thought about O'Neal Cruz in center field, and I love it. Very much liking what he's done, very much liking what he's done with the bat. I think it's the exact right move. Again, I had some questions about it happening in season, but so far what I've seen, he's going to have problems. He's like, not problems, but like, there are going to be bumps along the road. That's okay. That doesn't mean it's the wrong move. And I love the experience that he's getting. And I love looking at him as the opening day center fielder next year. No issues there. His bat has come a long way. He's having a pretty solid year overall. Anyway, thank you for watching this. Make sure you like and subscribe. You can get these videos every day, as well as plenty of other content from our other Post-Gazette writers and columnists. We'll be back here same time, same place tomorrow. Thanks for watching First Time.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.